everybody, I'm Zenith Warrior Princess, the cutest of ghost buns, and welcome back to the Disney debate, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. In fact, the points are like live-action Disney remakes of their classic animated movies. They do not matter. And joining me this evening, we have, represented by Kat McBarry, our Ryan Stiles. How's it going, Kat?
Well, aren't you special? Salutations! Good to be back on the air. Greetings, everyone. We are now in 2026, and it is not the middle of May, so hooray, record for us. And I am so excited to finally be doing this top 10 list. I have so much to say about these movies. Dear God. I've been looking forward to this, and I hope you have been too, Zen.
Yes, I have. There's a lot we have to say, which is why we may be splitting this into two parts, but we'll see how it goes. I know this is going to be a long one, but before we get into that, played by Douglas McBarry, it's our resident Colin Mockery.
Tapioca! It's okay. You're not that good of an actor. I'll be your lightning rod of hate, 2025.
How's it going, Doug?
It's going. Is it Avengers Doomsday yet?
No, not yet. That's
is
next
it Mandalorian
year,
and Grogu yet?
Can we go back to Infinity War and snap ourselves out of existence?
Yeah. Oh God, it has been only 2 months, less than 2 months, and it feels like 2 decades. Just for clarification, we are recording this near the end of February, which is a record for us for the past few years because we haven't gotten it out this early in a long time because of health issues. Now, I wanted to get this done a little bit earlier, but we had to sit down and find a way to watch Tron Ares, and I was not gonna pay for that. Thankfully, we managed to get it out, and then I paid to see Zootopia 2, but we kind of did it at the last second, and we were going to record last week, but then a lot of things happened in quick succession, me getting tired. I also slipped on the ice recently this week. It's been a lot. So, ice sucks. But also, we have had a lot happening in January and February. It's been a decade and 2 months. However, here at the Disney debate, we are here to entertain you. So, we're going to spend the next however many hours talking about the Disney movies of 2025, which was not a better year, but at least it had some interesting movies. So, in any case, Kat, are you ready to start talking about the top films of 2025 that Disney put out?
Oh, I'm so ready, man. I'm so ready. Oh, let me at him, man. Oh, God, this frickin' year, man. Oh, my God. Yeah, this year, oh, God. Like, I had such a hard time coming up with this list. Not the movies themselves, like the order in which I ranked them from, good to bad. And I use good very loosely in some respects. Like, there was so much stuff that ranged between bad to mediocre this year, and some of it just really annoyed the hell out of me. So, yeah, I must have went over my list, at least 20 times, changing the rankings, trying to justify why I put this here and why I have to lower this, and so on and so forth. It's not been easy. And on top of that, because I'm now a parent and I have to use my time and my money wisely, I had to pick and choose which films I saw in theaters. And I will say, I am very glad that I did not waste my money on some of these films. Very much glad.
Yeah.
But that being said, though, I mean, some of them I am glad I gave a chance ultimately, because some of them did manage to surprise me. We'll get to those, but For the most part, yeah, this has been another bad year. And I sort of understand why, because last year we only had 5 films to talk about because of the actors-writers strike. So naturally there wasn't much released, and a lot of these films that were supposed to release last year got pushed back to this year, or they only like wrapped up filming that year. So it's kind of easy to see why some of these came out the way they did. So I guess you want to start us off, Zen, with the first of this year?
Well, before I get to that, like, I just want to say this year has been such a mixed bag. Like, I started out with high hopes, and it's just been a roller coaster, and this has been the most mixed I think we've ever had on our top 10 films, because there are several films where I liked half of it. I either like the first half or I like the second half, and that rarely happens in these end of year lists. But we've had a lot that was half good, and I had to keep shifting it around. It's been so weird. Before we get into our first pick, Doug, what do you think of this year overall to start with?
I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said? This year, it's like, again, it feels like the leftovers of what should have released the previous year, and then it wasn't even that much of a it's like it's one of those leftovers where you didn't particularly even want the meal to begin with. You were just doing it to be kind, but you're ultimately going to wind up throwing them out because they'll like go bad in the fridge. Yeah, that kind of sums up 2025.
To put it into perspective, only Hugh can prevent florist fryers. But that has nothing to do with this. This has just been a weird year, and I just want it to be random because this year has a lot of randomness. So, as we always do, we're going in chronological order of when they were released, and we're giving our score of where they fit on our scale. First of all, we had Captain America Brave New World, which was the first one of 2025, and which I put at number 4.
I put it number 9.
I put it 7.
Huh. It might be because I saw this early on in the year, and because there are films that I didn't gel with as much as this. Captain America Brave New World has problems, and I think the first half is a big problem. Like, it's one of those films where it starts off and it's a little bit confusing, and it takes a lot of the film to get going. But the second half is really good, and for me, I think it edged out some of the others to where, like, I like what it was doing. I do have problems, and I'm gonna get into them first before I talk about anything else. So, Captain America Brave New World is about Sam as Captain America. He's with Isaiah Bradley, the previous Captain America from before, who was experimented on. If you've watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he has been exonerated, and Isaiah's with him, and the whole setup for the marketing of this film was that he was going to fight the Red Hulk. That doesn't fully happen until like the last 10 minutes of the film, and I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to make this film marketed to a certain audience, and they pivoted because what they actually went with as the main villain was Leader. Remember back in The Incredible Hulk, Leader, the guy that, they gave the enhanced brain power, he's here. And I really like Leader in this film. But the problem is that this film was mismarketed as a Red Hulk movie when it's really not a Red Hulk movie. And the first half is a mystery that doesn't fully make sense until you get to the second half. And I don't like that they do this thing where they have Isaiah be put back in jail again. And it's frustrating because we had this amazing, Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, which dealt with a lot of this stuff. and it does feel like we are retreading old ground. Even if a lot of it is very powerful, like getting to see him, like, I can't go back to jail, like, there's a lot of really great racial stuff in it, but that first half has a lot of problems. However, I gave it a lot of leeway because the plot that Leader has is amazing. It finally deals with all the baggage that Thaddeus Ross has set up for the entirety of the MCU, and that's a lot. So there's a lot that I really did like, but I can get why it's lower on your lists, because it's not a fully put together film. It was very fun to watch, it just took a while. Kat?
Yeah, I was horribly disappointed in this movie. Like, I wanted so badly to love it, because, I love Sam Wilson. I thought he was fantastic as Falcon, and I loved him as Captain America, and I was so excited to see him in his first full-length movie as Captain America. What do we get? A movie about Thaddeus Ross, who would eventually become the Red Hulk, who, aside from other certain MCU characters, is universally hated among fans. But no, he gets the redemption arc because reasons. It made no sense to me at all why these two stories were combined. It's like, you want to do a Red Hulk movie. Okay, well, the Red Hulk is associated with Hulk. Why aren't you making a third Hulk movie? Oh, wait, because the first two bombed. So clearly we can't try again with our new current Hulk that everybody, for the most part loves. No, we're just going to stick his story in somebody else's story because we think that story isn't going to do well enough on its own. It clashes so much, and it makes no sense, because, they try to fit it together by saying, oh, well, he's just trying to redeem himself and prove that he is a good guy, make up for his past sins. It's like, well, if that's the case, why isn't he apologizing to Bruce Banner? Why isn't he apologizing to the Avengers, who he broke up because of that whole stupid Accords thing? It just, his whole redemption makes no sense. It's just him again, trying not to get caught for all the highly illegal crap that he's been pulling since, MCU started. It just annoyed me to no end, especially because a lot of what they were doing with Sam was the same stuff they did in the show Falcon and Winter Soldier. We went through this stuff. Why do we have to go through it again? And they even threw in, an extra villain for no reason other than to show that, give Sam someone to fight. Seriously, Giancarlo Esposito was wasted in this movie. I don't understand why you would have someone of his caliber play a side villain that ultimately doesn't matter. This whole film just pissed me off to no end.
This has problems. Now, what I will say, part of it is rights issues, and this goes back to the original two Incredible Hulk films, the Ang Lee Hulk film and the Incredible Hulk. Both of them bombed. And Universal since then has it in their rights that Hulk can appear in other films, but he can't have his own movie. It's a stipulation, that's why they had She-Hulk starring Hulk. That's why they have Red Hulk here. It doesn't fully make sense. However, I agree with you that a lot of it was redundancy. A lot of it felt like had been done with Captain Falcon. Falcon Punch.
You better respect the Falcon.
But I do like that they made me think, okay, are they actually redeeming Thaddeus Ross? And they brought back Betty Ross. And as someone who is a fan of the Incredible Hulk and liked the way they shaped up over time, seeing the stuff that I never thought would be back in a film. I never thought Betty would actually come back with the same actress. That's really cool. I will say that I took his redemption a little bit differently. Personally, I have a complicated relationship with my father, but the idea that his health is failing, and that's when he started realizing what meant to him. I can kind of buy that, because right now my dad's health is failing, and I'm starting to, come to terms with the legacy he left behind in some of this stuff. And I feel like with Thaddeus, they're trying to say that hindsight is important. Hindsight matters because you don't always understand the weight of your actions until you're on the other side of him. And he was always this hot-headed, even in the comics, he was a hot-headed asshole. But here, I liked that they showed a different side of him, where he learned that he was going to die, and in order to save himself, he was taking pills provided by Leader, which was infused with gamma radiation. I think it actually makes sense, and I think it's like, when you're staring death in the face, it does change you. It doesn't fully click with me, but it clicked more with me than it did you, and I get that. Before I give it to Doug, do you have any response to that, Kat?
Like, I'm not saying I don't hate the storyline for the character or how they incorporated Leader or Betsy or Red Hulk in general. Like, on its own, the story is fine enough. I can see it being like, maybe part of like a streaming series or something, or maybe incorporated with another more appropriate hero. I just hate that the story is here in Sam Wilson's story because it links up to nothing. There's nothing between them
I'll
to
agree
like
with that.
link this up. Like, and putting Sam up against Red Hulk, like, really? Because again, like, if you're gonna, like, pit a hero and a villain together, they have to have some sort of equal ground to fight. Even if one's, like, skill is super strength and the other is super smart, at least they're both ends of the spectrum and can match each other in certain aspects. Whereas here, it's like, you have a guy who has a high-tech suit, high-tech gadgetries, and some, like, military training, going up a frickin', like, radiation monster who is indestructible and immortal. Like, I'm sorry, that just skews it way too much for me. So it's like, oh, how is he gonna get out of this one? Oh, he talks him down. Yeah, that's what the fans wanted to see. The talking the big scary monster down, because we totally haven't seen that before. But yeah, it just, and furthermore, and I get why, like, I know this shouldn't penalize against it, but it kind of does. The fact that, we're getting the story with essentially a brand new Ross. And I know, the actor who played him already died. So that's why he was recast. Like, I understand that. I understand why we now have Harrison Ford, who admittedly is hard to, like, not picture as Harrison Ford as this character here. But it just feels weird. We're getting this arc with a character that we essentially don't know, who's basically a stranger. It's like, yes, he has the same name. Yes, he's technically playing the same character, but we don't know him as that character. He hasn't been that character in any of the past things we've seen him in. So, like, he may as well be a complete, like, new character, like, not even Ross. So it just doesn't gel well. Like, you're supposed to feel sad for him, but it's hard to feel sad for someone you barely know, who hasn't even established a rapport with fans up to this point. So yeah, I can't. So maybe that's just me, but I'm granted, I've been okay with other recasts of characters in the MCU before. Like, this is the 6th time they've had to recast someone in Marvel, but I don't know, I just can't reconcile it in this case.
I do think that Harrison Ford does an amazing job in the role, but it does feel alien. He does show touches of the old Ross, but it's not like a fully transformation throughout the film. And we really need a couple films to get into it. But Doug, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this film was set up to fail right from, marketing back in Comic-Con when, they were announcing it. And then they freaking overshadow everything with Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doom. And Anthony Mackie was rightly disappointed about that. It's like, this was my time to shine. And it's like, yeah, they freaking did Sam Wilson so dirty in this. It's like you said, it's a Hulk movie, but they try to, stitch in Sam Wilson, Captain America, who is just not the right fit for it. It's like, the good thing is, if I hadn't seen, the first the Ed Norton Hulk movie, and known who the leader was, if I hadn't had any knowledge of the Red Hulk, I would be much more disappointed. But what you call it? It's as it stands, it's like at least I could enjoy it for that much. But yeah, it's hard. I get, how you feel close to the redemption arc. I didn't feel like Ross was really a character that deserved to get redeemed. But, hey, if you took something out of that, that's great. They also did the cardinal sin of making me remember that Eternals existed.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, why do they have to keep referencing Eternals? Like they keep bringing it up.
That is the biggest sin of this movie. That is the biggest sin of this movie. How dare you make Eternals canon, bastards.
Okay, let's talk about this, because they don't mention any tidal fluctuations of the birthing of the Celestial or anything like that, but the birthing of the Celestial brings forth, was it adamantium that they bring forth? I'm pretty sure that was.
Yes, furthermore, they wrapped up X-Men in this with Eternals. Why would you do that? Ugh.
And when I first saw that, I liked it, but the more I keep thinking about it, like, why does this need to be a war over adamantium? Why can't it just be a political intrigue story? But here it's all about, like, okay, I want the adamantium, and Leader is pitting them all against each other. And he does a good job with it. There's some really great fighting scenes and some stuff with him almost hulking out, and I think Leader is a great villain. But then you have stuff like the tertiary villain, which I don't even remember his name.
Sidewinder?
Yeah,
Sidewinder.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you kept hearing about all these rewrites because they're realizing just how dumb it is that they're doing a Hulk movie with Captain America instead of the Hulk. Like, they don't even freaking have Mark Ruffalo in any bit of this. So it's like, oh, well, we gotta scramble and, put something Captain America related in. I mean, it's like, kudos, they at least got Isaiah back, and I love Carl Lumley. Justice League was the best. Your interconnected comic book universe animated series before the Marvel, the MCU was a thing. And then the just the marketing too, with they're already spoiling that Ross is going to turn into the Red Hulk in all the promos. You cannot escape it. You're like, there's just no stakes for this. It's like, why should it be like, the good thing is at least it was an entertaining enough movie that I could kind of look past some of the stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like, I can't justify that this was a bad movie. This was set up to fail. I feel really bad for Anthony Mackie, getting screwed by this.
For me, it's a mixed bag. And the thing is, from 4 to 7, like, films 4 to 7 on my ranking are all the same level of a mixed bag. Where it could have put them anywhere, because they are having troubles with. This was the second half eclipsed the first, where it was really good, and it really, like, delivered a lot, but there's a lot of dumb. And it's just like, it was entertaining enough for me that I put it at number 4, but it could have gone pretty much anywhere in the middle, because a lot of these films are just half of a good movie. And when you have half of a good movie, the other half has to be good to compensate, and it's just like, a lot of these aren't. God, we've been talking about this one for a while. The next one's gonna be even longer, guys, so strap in, folks. It's gonna be a long episode. But I just, like, Captain America Brave New World, I really wanted to like. But it has all these little niggling problems, all these little things like, don't connect things to Eternals. Connect it to, the Incredible Hulk, that was good. But if you have the rights issues and you can't bring the Hulk in and you can't make a Hulk movie, then do something different. Make the movie just about the leader, and don't make the marketing about the Red Hulk when the Red Hulk was barely in the film. Like, it's a middle of the road film for me. I don't hate it. I was entertained by it. But I feel like it had so much potential to be better, and that disappointment weighs on me. Kat, final thoughts?
Yeah, honestly, it's wild to me that this movie is like the third Marvel movie to earn a Rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with the first one being Eternals and the second one being Ant-Man Quantumania. The first two I can understand. This one, not so much.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say this is worse than, say, Iron Man 3. I wouldn't say this is worse than Thor the Dark World. Like, there are other Marvel films I can easily say are worse than this movie. But that being said, this is one of the most disappointing movies I've been to. Just, again, by virtue of the fact of them overshadowing the main character, the bizarre elements they, chose to focus on, trying to incorporate other entities that have no place in the story, and first of all, it builds up to nothing, ultimately, because, spoiler alerts, the whole purpose for this was supposed to be to, restart the Avengers, but guess what's gonna happen in the very next movie? So, but we'll get to that.
Let's restart the Avengers. Let's restart the Avengers again. This is the same problem that the last phase had with, okay, so we started the multiverse. No, we started the multiverse. No, we started the multiverse. Every single thing was about starting the multiverse, and they can't pin it down. And that's the problem with a lot of these films is, like, they can't really... I get the feeling that, like, the talks between studios weren't working out well, and there was a lot of rewrites for especially the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely some disconnect, you can tell. Like, there are just certain continuities you think they should be keeping tabs on, and they don't. And I get a big part of the reason is because of the massive rewrite they had to do in terms of switching the ultimate bad guy from Kang to Doctor Doom. So I imagine a lot of elements, got written out or changed drastically because of that. But even then, it's like, you think somebody who had been like, you think they'd have a focus group of like Marvel nerds who would point out, hey, why did you put that? That makes no sense. So why are we only talking about this now? Like, why did you never make this a big thing before? Like, it just baffles me how, like, you don't test this on like actual Marvel nerds before you release it. There's just like so much inconsistency. But yeah, as a whole though, even on its own, it's not a good movie to sit through. And again, because the marketing and the trailers spoiled so much, it honestly felt tedious just getting to the big final fight, only for it to last less than 10 minutes. So even as like a fight film, it is disappointing because like you're putting someone who isn't superpowered up against, semi-superpowered beings. So it doesn't make for a good time. So I would say, like, If you're completionist in terms of the MCU, watch the film, but otherwise, I wouldn't bother with it. And something tells me that with the reset we're going to get, after Doomsday, it's ultimately not going to matter.
It's a shame, because, like, I think this is a film that was designed to be for fans. If you've been watching since the beginning, Betsy Ross, you have... Thaddeus Ross, like, you have all this in stuff. They didn't need the Eternals, but a lot of the stuff they do put in, like, with the leader and stuff, I was really happy with. And I thought, like, it was a good middle-of-the-road film for that alone. But it doesn't feel like it's for fans when it keeps dropping all these things that don't make sense in continuity. It's a lot. Final thoughts, Doug?
Yeah, as we all said, definitely disappointing. Like, probably the saving grace of it is, you're finally getting the long-awaited payoff of the leader. I think he was Mr. Blue in the original Hulk movie, or in the Incredible Hulk, I should say. It's like once you realize, oh, it's that. It's like, okay, that kind of, I feel a little rewarded for that. But
elevated the movie.
That elevated
above
it.
Some of the
like I said, that puts it a touch above the rest. And like I said, it's at least entertaining to watch. It does take some of the sting out of, all the just what's wrong with the entire movie, the entire, thing around it. But definitely Marvel needs to do better. Definitely needs to, give a redemption to freaking Sam Wilson Captain America, because he absolutely deserved a better first, theatrical outing. I really liked Falcon and Winter Soldier, especially that 5th episode. Getting to see him become Captain America, just I was really looking forward to the movie, and it just I felt so betrayed.
I felt more disappointed than anything, and I feel like there are certain things that elevated it for me. But it's one of those things where, like, did they really have to put Isaiah in prison twice? Like, this was not called for.
It really was stupid.
That was
Leave
stupid.
Carl Lumbly alone.
It had some powerful... He's one of the best actors, and he has some of the best scenes, but it felt redundant, and while there's some powerful stuff, they could have put that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, But, all right, we've been talking about this film for a while. I have a feeling we're going to be splitting this into 2 parts because there's so much to discuss. Because, guys, next up is Snow White live action. And before we get into my ranking, I just want to kind of lay the groundwork for this. I had been seeing trailers for this throughout the year, where we were getting a lot of these trailers, and the trailers are really good. Where, like, I wasn't sure what to think, because I've heard a lot of negativity, a lot of positivity, and the songs were pretty cool, and the clips that they showed of the dwarves weren't great, but they were better than I expected. But, like, they tried to make it feel like an epic adventure. And when we sat down to watch it, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna let my preconceived notions go away. We'll see how it goes. And my summary of this movie is, they had us in the first half, not gonna lie. I put this at number 9.
Number 10. 10, 10, 10.
I also put it at number 9.
And here's my thing. This actually does some really good things. And why I say they had us in the first half, they give agency to Snow White. They explain a lot more about what's happening. They expand upon it. The music, 80% of it, and we'll get to what I mean by that, slaps. The new songs are really good. The remix songs are so good. Hi-ho. All these things are done to a grandeur that I haven't seen before. They give not only agency to Snow White, where she goes back to try to take her kingdom, but they give more character to the Prince Charming, and he's no longer, like, the Prince Charming who kisses a random sleeping girl. They update that part of the story in such a way that I was actually on board with it. I was liking a lot of it. And then Gal Gadot ruined the goddamn film. And the CG of the dwarves. And the singing of Gal Gadot. And everything that happens in the second half. Like, it is a sharp cliff. It is the exact opposite of, some of the other films we've seen in the middling category. Where instead of going from bland to, oh, this is getting good. It's went from, oh, this is good. To, holy shit, what the fuck am I watching? Kat?
Oh my god, no, I'm right there with you. Like, it was so weird. Like, because again, I didn't watch this until it came out in streaming. I refused to pay to watch this in theaters. And everybody wanted to know, oh, what's your opinion? What did you think? I heard it sucked. I saw it and it sucked. You agree it sucks, right? And I wanted so bad to agree with them, but I wanted to wait. I was not wasting my money. And then I finally saw it. And I will say, like, the first, I want to say, 20, 30 minutes, like, had me guessing everybody. I'm thinking, you know what? This isn't so bad, actually. like some of the changes. I like how they show Snow White with her parents, their happy beginnings. I like that they explain why she has her name, which honestly ties into the book as to why she has her name. People think it's because of her snowy white skin. No, like, her mother, like, looked out the window on a snowy day, and, you know, that's part of why she got her name. So it makes sense in that aspect. And then showing, you know, the whole transition when her dad married her stepmother, and when her stepmother took over, and when she became a servant, and so on and so forth. We actually see interaction between Snow White and the Queen. Think about it. In the original movie, they don't interact until the Queen is an old woman trying to fool her into eating the apple. That is the only interaction they have. In this movie, the two of them, like, with as the Queen as normal, they actually talk. They actually, you know, interact with each other. And you can see what their relationship is like by the time Snow White leaves and flees to the dwarves. Like, I thought all that stuff, you know, up to that point was pretty good. And I even did like the songs, too. I thought Waiting on a Wish was actually a pretty good song. And, you know, again, incorporating the prince, but he's not a prince. He's just, like, a semi-thief or whatever. And them actually developing a relationship beforehand, or at least a rapport with each other. There was a lot of good elements within the beginning of this film. And then the goddamn dwarf showed up, and it reminded me, oh yeah, this is a CGI shitfest. And then Gal Gadot had a musical number for some reason, even though she was hamming it up and she can't sing for shit. So, yeah, then it reminded me, oh yeah, I'm watching a Disney remake. So naturally, it has to reveal the hidden shit. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the biggest sin of this movie, is the fact that it gave me hope in the beginning and dashed it exponentially by the midpoint.
As a wise man once said in the MCU, don't give me hope, because this is the most disappointing film of the entire 10 for me, because I had hope, and I'm like, I was watching, and I'm like, I was vibing with it. Waiting on a Wish is a great song. The soundtrack, hi ho, so good, but the CG of the dwarves is bad. And let's talk about this for a second. There was a lot of controversy over the fact that they, quote unquote, did not cast little people in this film. They did. If you pay attention to the film, there are little people, just not as the dwarves. There's little people in the Robin Hood-esque band of merry men that show up. And I thought that was pretty cool.
They also have little people as voice actors, too.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage went on a tirade about this, saying like, "Oh, they shouldn't cast little people, and there's a stink about them using CGI." Look, I'm neurodivergent. I'm not a little person, but over the years, I feel like you could have at least cast people in the titular roles. I know they want them to look the marketable dwarves from Snow White, but they didn't need to. And it works on some of them for the CGI. Like, I thought Dopey was pretty well, like, acted, but some of them are just too uncanny. And that's the problem. When you have this uncanny stuff against real little people, that presents a conflict. Kat, do you want to weigh in before I swing over to Doug?
Yeah, I absolutely hate the fact that they made the dwarves CGI. Because, like, first of all, they shouldn't have listened to Peter Dinklage to begin with. Like, yes, I know he's a little person, he has his opinions, but he basically just sabotaged a whole bunch of other little actors out of jobs. He cost them jobs that that is not very readily available to a lot of little people. Again, you have to, like, I hate to say it, but you have to have certain roles in order for them to, like, actually get it. Yes, I know movies are starting to be more inclusive, and they're not, limiting people to looks and stuff when it comes to certain roles. But even then, you have the roles here that are designed specifically for people of that height. And then, because of his comments, they were gone. They were just gone. And of course, there was the backlash about that, so Disney, like, rationalized, oh, well, they're not little people, they're magical beings, so that makes it okay. No, it freaking doesn't! They do magic once in the entire film, and that is it. Like, there's nothing else magical about them other than they might possibly be immortal. Like, that's it. it's like, if anything, it's like you're adding more work to the already stressed animators, and it doesn't even look good. It just it's
Yeah.
so like gross looking, like some of their faces and some of the features, because the dwarves are highly animated characters. They are designed that way. That is why they are such a prominent feature in the original movie, because there's so much you could do with them animation wise. Adapting that to CGI doesn't transition well. It just makes everything look horrifying, and it gives the whole film this big fakey look. Like, I guess supposed to feel like you're at like in a fairy tale, but I just feel like I was looking at the Star Wars prequels, except with brighter colors.
And it's like, it's not even good looking CGI. It does not mesh well with what's going on. I do like the song that the dwarves sing together when they're going into the mine, but like the longer you look at it, the more things you can see that are a problem. And it's like, I get that Disney has had problems. Well, the industry in general has had problems with little people for a while, since like stuff with the Wizard of Oz, or there's stuff in the past with Disney. But this is the year 2026. We should be all inclusive and give jobs to people. It's not. I would not call it prejudiced to put little people in this role. Again, I'm speaking not as a little person, so take that with 25 grains of salt. But Peter Dinklage spoke for little people everywhere, and like wrestlers like Hornswoggle spoke out against that, you know? So it's a lot. Doug, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, even probably more so than with Captain America: Brave New World, that this movie was doomed to be DOA. They honestly, like, it was just like every day there's just some new controversy surrounding it. And then, like, what comes out is just not even worth it. It's already, got multiple strikes against it being a Disney live action remake. People are not asking for that. They don't want them. And then it's, then there's the whole woke aspect to it. And, the fact that, Snow White is played by a person of color, or at least, a darker skin. Then, they cast Gal Gadot, who's already got her own controversies, and honestly, they should have just recast because she was not good in the role. You have, the same cliches that they keep doing with all the live action remakes. It's like, I've seen it. I feel nothing. They change lyrics in some of the songs. It's like, why? Was this really particularly troublesome? Was this not politically correct, apparently? You have the whole controversy with Peter Dinklage speaking on behalf of all little people and essentially costing jobs. It's just like, the by the time you get through all this, it's like, I don't even want to, bother with this. So, we finally just watch it on Disney Plus.
This is a lot. There's so many layers to it. And I'll say this much. I liked the actress as Snow White. She was phenomenal. I think she did great.
She was fine.
I think that her singing and presence great all around, but apparently Gal Gadot was contracted to be in this film before anything else, and it shows, because like, why would they do this? Like, she was a rising star at the time, I guess, but like, after everything, why would you still have her in this role? But the problem is they already had contract problems with like other actors beforehand, so they have to go through with it. And she can't sing, she can barely act, and then the stuff that they change, like, I think the biggest thing that got Eliza was the Queen does not permanently disfigure herself in this version. She just can change back on a whim.
Well,
the whole point.
Well, to be fair, in the original, they never said her spell was permanent. Like, I always assumed it would wear off too once she was done doing the deed. I don't think she was supposed to permanently disfigure herself. It was just as a disguise.
I thought the point was that, like, she permanently disfigured herself just because she felt so vain that even as ugly as she was in that form, she wanted to be the fairest in the land. Then again, in the original, we don't see her change back, but there's just a lot of other problems that, like, when it starts getting to the climax, everything feels so rushed to a conclusion. There's a lot of things that started off like, oh, we're building up to something, and there's nothing. I did like the twist that Dopey was telling the story. I thought that was new and interesting. But there's not a lot that could really save this film for me, because there's every single time I thought there was something I liked, it was ruined by Gal Gadot or something else going on. The CGI of the dwarves, the built for 3D effects, and it just felt like a gimmick movie in the middle. And yeah, we don't have the happy song anymore, thank God. We have some really good songs, but we have the Gal Gadot song in the middle that completely ruined my interest in any projects that she would ever do ever again, or any singing in this film, because, like, she brings the film to a screeching halt.
Yeah, that was, like, the fact she was hamming it up so much. And here's the weird thing, like, it wasn't just she was under contract, she genuinely wanted to do this role. She said it was her dream role, that she was excited to, sing and dance and everything. And that's why they never gave her an audition, because they automatically assumed she'd be good in it. That wasn't the case. It's like, looks-wise, yeah, Gal Gadot totally fits the role of the evil queen, but then, the queen herself was kind of reserved. She had, like, always wanted to preserve her dignity, her beauty, her air of, like, dominance, of fear, of worship and stuff. And in this one, she's just hamming it the hell up. It's like, if anybody walked in on her doing this, they'd laugh their friggin' asses off. It just, it sucks, because, like, I loved her in Wonder Woman, but here, like, I kind of felt the way I did when she was in Death on the Nile. Like, she wasn't even really that good in that movie either. And granted, she dies early on in it, but even then, it's like, the parts where she's supposed to be acting, it just really felt, off and kind of ham-fisted. So, I don't know. That's another sin against this movie. It makes you rethink whether or not Gal Gadot is a good actress. And that's, like, really messed up.
It makes you wonder if we liked it because it was a decent portrayal of Wonder Woman, or if we were just, like, trying to give DC something. Because, like, looking back, she doesn't have a lot of range. Like, if you look at any of her performances, Gal Gadot, say what you will about her character, I'm not trying to make this political, I don't think she has a range necessary for any of these roles. It's like she's playing the same person. And look, I'm not telling her to get rid of her accent, because some people can't. You can do fine. Like, Sean Connery, in friggin', oh god, in Highlander, he doesn't get rid of his accent. You have 3 different nationalities in the same person, but it worked because it's Sean fucking Connery. I don't feel like she gave anything to this role.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much to put in the role to begin with. The queen doesn't really have much of a character other than, being vain and vindictive. And, yeah, she clearly pulls that off, but it's just, she has to be extra for no reason. And it's not like you feel any sympathy or any admiration or even, like, any amusement from watching the queen. She's just there. It's like, you're seeing the character but then she's also, like, so over the top, it's hard to ignore the fact that, we're watching Gal Gadot play the queen. We're not watching the queen. So.
Yeah, and it's like, if you've watched Lady Tremaine, and if you watch the original Snow White, you know how nobility is supposed to act. She doesn't act that way. Like, she's constantly, like, cracking stuff with her fingers, and, like, they're trying to make her intimidating, and I don't feel intimidated, Doug.
Yeah, no, she has hints of it, but she definitely cannot pull it off. She's Gal Gadot is easily the worst thing about this film. it hurts me to say. But yeah, it's like she, like we've been talking about, her singing alone just earns like a basically a 0 for this film. They should have just scrapped it, put it on a shelf. Had David Zaslav come in and get a tax write-off, even though he's a different company entirely.
God, Zaslav. Well, Chapek would do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, this was what I think I find the most disappointing about this was that after this one, everybody was calling for the death of the live action Disney remake. Like, it was universally hated. It could not have done well at the box office at all. And this seemed like the death knell for it. Problem is, they did not double tap, because one more live action remake, which we will discuss later on, actually did get people to watch.
So, one thing I do want to bring up now, because this has been a roller coaster from what happened with Chapek to what happened with Iger, and, like, Iger seemed like he was a safe bet to steer the company in a good direction. Although now he started and then pivoted on, saying, oh, we got to pivot to AI. And that was not the right move, because the Disney stock tumbled, but then quickly changed. And even Eisner called him out on that. But the problem is the direction and turmoil really affected a lot of this. And I think it affected the live action Snow White a lot, because some people were starting to think that the dwarves might have been AI. And I don't know. Like, I personally don't know. It looks bad, but I wasn't looking for AI to tell. But it's one of those things where you started to get a bad reputation, and it's really started to sink Disney as a company, and they really need someone to come back and steer the ship. And I think it's never more evident than Snow White live action. This could and should have been so much better. It has potential. It has good actors. It has good music in parts of it. It has this air of whimsy, and I really liked what they were trying to go for. But because of these constantly changing directions that Disney is being pulled into, and the CEOs doing stupid shit after stupid shit, you think they would learn, it's affected all this output. And there was a point in the beginning of this year where a lot of people were like, can Disney right the sinking ship? And it's Disney. It's not going to go down. I'm not saying, oh my god, Disney is dead, because thousands of YouTubers thrive on negativity, and I am not one of those YouTubers. I like to talk about good things, and I like to talk about bad things, because sometimes we can learn from the bad things, and there's a lot of bad movies that I do enjoy. But this year has been a lot simply because of the way this ship was steered, and it's whiplash, because when we get to the next film, it's amazing. But before I get into Thunderbolts, Kat, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they really need to do like take a step back and reevaluate. I mean, they already accomplished the first step. They got rid of Bob Iger. Now we got someone new. And hopefully he's anti-AI, because I do not want that crap in my Disney films. Like, I know things have not been good lately, but they haven't been AI level bad. That has no place whatsoever in Disney films. Like, again, this is a company that was based on a person who got their art stolen from them. So why would they go back and do the same thing by stealing more art? That should never be a part of this company's reputation. But I am hoping that they learn from this past year with all the releases and how they've done, because honestly, like, so many of these are either sequels or reboots, and it's so disappointing, like, to see it this way. And I get maybe some of it was because of the writer's strike and whatever, so they had to improvise, but even then, I feel like some of these were just doomed to fail, and they just need to reevaluate. Like, I really wish they did mean what they said and put a stop to all the live action remakes, because they need to stop that, at least for the time being. But of course they won't, because despite how bad they are, they still make money, as we will get to with the next live action film. But yeah, like I won't say I am hopeful for the future, but I hope some lessons are taken away from this.
Yeah. As Filthy Frank once said, it's time to stop. And it's like, Disney, in the 90s I grew up with you, and once we actually get to the 90s, I'll talk about why I became engrossed with Disney. But as someone who's grown up with them, I've become critical of them because I know what Disney is capable of. And when it's good, like in the 90s Renaissance period, or the new Renaissance with, Tangled and Frozen and some of this other stuff that really brought back things back in the 2010s. Like, there's been some great stuff, and it just feels like a cyclical process, and I'm trying to take them by the hand and be like, Disney, you don't have to do this. This is a cry for help, and I'm trying to help you. Just don't do any more live-action movies. Doug.
No, I agree. It's like, I really hope that the new regime will, take our criticisms into, account and try to right what, Iger's messed up. But I don't have a lot of faith. We'll just have to see. But yeah, chief among things, the AI needs to be downplayed. It needs to be gotten rid of, but they need it to fail in order to, finally see that it is not worth going into.
We need another Mars Needs Moms type movie to destroy that art style once and for all.
We need the bubble to pop already, damn it. When NFTs went away, we want this AI bubble to pop. Okay. I promise that's the last I'll talk about that. I know we've been talking about this for an hour, and we've only talked about 2 films. But this was a 1-2 punch of a start to the year. Would you agree?
Yes. Very much so.
So, I wanted to kind of start this here. But now we have Whiplash. No, not the villain from Marvel. No, it's not Iron Man 2. The third film this year, Thunderbolts, was one of the best movies in the MCU, period. I have it at number 2.
Number one, easy.
Yeah.
This film is everything I want out of a Marvel film. And it's like, nowadays a lot of Marvel films get flack from, the Whedonization of it. Like, Joss Whedon dialogue. And I'm like, guys, Joss Whedon didn't invent quipping. It's been around in comic books for ages. Comic book characters quip and make pop culture references. There are some things that I disagree with in some of the MCU writing. Like, I don't like them saying, making fun of Spider-Man and Ant-Man's names, but it's comic books. You kind of get used to it. But with Thunderbolts, it not only takes itself seriously, but it doesn't at the same time, and it manages to strike this tone that is brilliant. This is the movie that I wanted from Marvel for ages, and it has all these characters that I didn't think I would like come together to form one of my favorite teams. I love it. There's only one major problem I have with it, and I know why they did it, and it's why it's not number 1 for me. I don't like that they killed off Taskmaster, and I know why they did it, because people were like, that's not really Taskmaster, we didn't like her in the Black Widow movie, blah 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 blah. I get it, but it kind of doesn't endear me to Ghost that she just killed Taskmaster. That being said, though, this movie has everything I wanted, and I fell in love with this film, and I need to go down the cast because all of them are so amazing. Florence Pugh, once again, steals the show as Yelena, because Florence Pugh has made some of the best out of whatever happened with Black Widow, because every time she's on screen, I look. She's amazing. You have Sebastian Stan with Bucky Barnes. He shows up. He was something that I didn't expect, but I like what they did with his character. You have Alexei coming back again. Red Guardian. Love him. I love him in this. He's such, he's the kind of father figure that is bad at being a father, but you want to see him succeed because you know he's trying, and I love him in this. Then you have John Walker as not Captain America, Captain. God, what was the nickname that they gave him? He's the dark Captain America.
Secret Agent.
Yeah, Secret Agent. I don't like the code name, but he was Captain America, but he's not. But Secret Agent, I think he is a good foil because he's the more serious type.
U.S. Agent.
Granted, he does.
Oh, U.S. Agent.
U.S.
right.
Agent. U.S. Agent, yes. And then you have Ghost, and you have Taskmaster, who sadly dies, but also you have Louis Pullman as Bob, Sentry, and Void. Steals the show. Not only is it amazingly funny to see all these not superpowered, but trained, slightly superpowered heroes just in a room with an ordinary guy, but there's a lot of really good humor between them, between the seriousness and between Bob, who's just an average dude. And there's some great stuff there, and there's stuff with Void that I really can't wait to talk about, but I've been talking for a while. Doug, what do you think?
Oh yeah, like I said, easily the number one of the year. Even with the issue of Taskmaster, it does not hurt the film. I have my criticism about that, but no, easily, fun, heartfelt, like you said, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Sebastian Stan, everybody just chef's kiss. There's also some interesting, we finally get some payoff to stuff we kind of forgot about. Remember in Spider-Man Homecoming, somebody buys Avengers Tower? Oh, we finally know.
Yeah.
We finally get, what Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Valentina, her deal, she's not really sympathetic. Hell, she's downright bad. Just in every sense of the word. But at least we know, what her deal is now. And yeah, I'm just this again, a team of misfits that you don't think will gel, that they actually do come together and form an interesting team. The fact that it's dealing with depression, that I think in a way that a lot of people can relate to. It definitely just it hit that Marvel movie that we haven't really gotten in a while. It really legit felt like, one of the earlier MCU films. It definitely had that good tone to it.
Yeah, this film, and this film has this balance to it that is just so well put together. It's a cast of misfits. You don't expect them to be so good, but it ties a lot of loose ends together, and it's so enjoyable. And we're going to talk about the title in a second, but Kat, what do you think?
This, to me, was Guardians of the Galaxy done better. And I say that because, it makes sense for these characters to team up. It's all about, at first, self-preservation. And, despite the fact that a lot of them were once villains, ultimately they are heroic at heart. And we see them perform acts of heroism. We see that they are not really bad people. They do bad things, obviously, but they ultimately have the capacity for good in them. And you see that when they try to protect Bob, who at the beginning to them is just an ordinary guy. We see they go to great lengths not only to protect him, but even protect each other. And yeah, like, they obviously clash and they argue and whatnot, but you can see the camaraderie develop organically. And they stick together afterwards because they know ultimately it's better for them all to stick together, since they have skills, they can protect each other, and they can achieve their ultimate goal, which is to get back at Fontaine. So, it makes sense for them to be together. And I don't hate their interactions. None of them are outwardly obnoxious. Like, U.S. Agent's a little bit, because he is supposed to be a prick, but even he's not, like, Star-Lord level bad. But, yeah, even then, like, the action is great. I love them trying to escape. I love seeing them go on the run. I love seeing them fight, protecting the masses, battling against the void. Like, there was so much interesting stuff going on. And then the creme de la creme is how they address mental health, how they address depression. And of course, this movie premiered during, Mental Health Awareness Month. Makes sense. But that's what ultimately got me, was how well they portrayed it, how they show the characters relating to each other through their mutual depression and the guilt from their past and everything. Like, I teared up by the end. Like, that's how much this film resonated with me. So it was like, again, I know there wasn't much competition to this movie, but it's still easily the best we saw this year, and one of the better Marvel films in a while.
Like, there's so much to love about it. Now, this film is called Thunderbolts with an asterisk. If you watch the film to the end, the true title is The New Avengers, which is going directly against what happened in Brave New World. But I prefer these guys. And this film is about found family. This film is about people who should not work together, yet they are. And it's like Bucky, who's a senator, is stepping down from being a senator to fight to save people because it's the right thing to do. All these people have problems in their past, and you see it especially with Alexei and Yelena, where they're like, they regret their past, but they also want to, they regret not making a difference anymore like they used to. And you even get a feel for U.S. Agent, where you see the scene where his wife leaves him and all the turmoil it's doing to him, because the serum is driving him slightly, like, it's like steroids. It's pumping him up to the point where he can't control himself, and he realizes what he's done, and it's just like, it's really well done. But
can I just talk about Wyatt Russell, U.S. Agent, for just a sec, and just how much was needed, how much this was needed for him, how much Wyatt Russell definitely needed that win, that, like, after all the crap that, Captain America and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they gave him over, just the hate for him taking over, how bizarre he looks in the Captain America suit, and the fact that they give him this win, and that they gave him some facial hair, which I think he desperately needed that to make him look good.
Yes.
So I was so happy to see that them shine the light. He needed that redemption so badly.
But also, this feels a lot like Suicide Squad done right. Like, the first Suicide Squad was not great. It was good. But the second Suicide Squad was amazing. But I think this is Marvel's, like, Suicide Squad holdup, because, like, the tagline is not super, not heroes, not giving up. And rather than being contracted by the government, like the Suicide Squad was, and seeing their development in that, here it's a group of people who come together of their own accord. They're not initially forced to. I mean, they're working for Valentina, and she tries to have them all taken out. But they decide to work together, and I like that, they have a lot of chances to walk away from the group, but they want to be the Thunderbolts. They want to be the New Avengers, and I love their camaraderie. Is there anything you want to say before we move on to the mental health aspect? Because I want to talk about the Sentry. Oh, so good.
I will mention, funny enough, you mentioned Suicide Squad. James Gunn actually was interested in directing a Thunderbolts movie. But by that point, he had been, commissioned to actually direct Suicide Squad. And once he was done with it and Thunderbolts was ready, to be filmed, he realized he would have just been repeating himself. That's why he dropped out. But I think it was for the best, honestly, because I like the direction this went in a lot more. Because I think if it was a James Gunn film, it definitely would have been amped up a lot more, and it wouldn't have been, as interesting or as introspective, just because, again, that's not really his style. So, I think it came out a lot better this way. It was more toned down. It was more realistic, for lack of a better word.
It was more introspective.
Yeah, definitely. It was less on the camp and, the big boom boom action aspect and more about the internal struggles, which I appreciated, and I'm glad that that's what it focused on.
Now, that's not to say I love James Gunn. I loved Guardians 1 through 3. 3 was the best. I really loved the Suicide Squad. But James Gunn has his own style. And he tries to do things more over the top. Where here it's like they have moments where they're just like, we can't just go and reset bones or something like that. We're not superheroes. Like we go and get Tylenol. Like they're ordinary people with slight powers and restrictions and stuff like that. And it's really cool to see the mental struggle. And let's talk about the mental health aspect. So the hero and villain of this film is the Sentry, also known as Void. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Sentry is a character who is, in the comics, largely forgotten by the world. He is a hero from the Golden Age that everyone forgot about, but he's still there. It's a character with all the power to defeat every single Avenger, probably at Superman level power level, but he's held back by his own mental health issues. And here they portray it so well. They show all the mental health cases of each person. And whenever they interact with Bob, who is the Sentry in this film, they get a glimpse of his past, and he gets a glimpse of their past. And it's like their mental health issues are bouncing off each other. And Valentina sees that this guy actually has superpowers. He was given an experimental serum because he was a junkie. He was full of all these mental health issues, and he has dissociative identity disorder. I wanted to get the term right. So he has different personalities that are all real. Bob is his escape from the world. This is him when, he was using drugs to escape from his abusive parents. And, they show that, but the Sentry is when he actually has his powers, and, he's more powerful than anyone, but they try to control him, and he feels like he's being controlled like his parents tried to control him before, so he turns into the Void. And the Void is an embodiment of every negative emotion, every depressive thought that he's ever had. And as someone who deals with depression on the regular, this hit home, because the entire crux of this film is the Void is more powerful than any villain that anyone has ever faced, because it can just bring anyone into its dimension, and at first you think it can kill them, which it doesn't, but it brings you into a dimension of suffering and negativity that is super hard to get out of. And there's an amazing scene where Alexei and the rest of them are saving people from the debris, and the people they're saving are just turning into these shadows. And it's so intense. And you realize, the fighting's good and whatnot. They actually stop the villain by realizing they need a therapy session. The whole point is, he has to fight his own depressive thoughts. And it's not just about fighting them, it's about embracing that they are part of who he is. And it's not just, hug and it's fine. He still has that, and the Bob personality comes out at the end, he could still be the Sentry, but then they'd have to deal with the Void. And it's all a struggle of compartmentalizing and dealing with mental health is a constant battle, and you're not a bad person for having these mental disabilities. It's so powerful. Cat.
No, I agree. They really handled Bob well. I was like a bit like hesitant at first with what direction they were going with him, but ultimately I did like it. I thought his turn to evil was a bit abrupt, but again, the dissociative identity thing explains it. It's weird. He's kind of like a combination of Hulk, Moon Knight, and an X-Men hero. And I say that just because they reveal he never had powers before, but then after they experimented on him, then they came out. Sort of like what happened with Deadpool. So I wonder if he's going to end up being like an X-Men later down the line. But anyway, but yeah, I love how they built up his rapport with the Thunderbolts organically, because again, they first see him as a liability, that he's just an ordinary guy, but he actually is helping them. He's actually, being friendly with them. He likes their company, and they keep him, for lack of a better term, like going full on feral. Because, he has that instinct that, oh, here are people that are actually treating me decently. I want to save them. And it's only when he's, like, ripped away from them that and then he's under the influence of Valentina, that's when he starts to go all psycho. But, yeah, then it's one big group hug, and he's back, to his old self. And I gotta say, I definitely cried at that hug, like, because he needed it. I will point out one thing I did learn, and I wonder, like, how this would have shaped the movie had this happen. You know who originally was supposed to play Bob? Stephen Ewan.
Who?
Freaking Invincible.
From The Walking Dead.
Because think about it, that in theory, it's perfect casting, because Sentry is basically an evil version of Invincible. So it would have fit in that aspect. However, I don't think it would have fit as well from the Bob aspect. Just because Bob's supposed to be, like, unassuming. Like, you think he's just this ordinary, regular guy. And Steve Ewan, by this point, has become enough of a recognizable face where it would have been clear something was going on with him. Because, again, like, he blew up from, The Walking Dead. And then he became Invincible, and he's had other roles. So, I think it wouldn't have worked so much to have him as Bob. Whereas with Lewis Pullman, it makes more sense because, while he's been in movies, he's not as recognizable a face. So I think, like, ultimately it was good that Steve Ewan dropped out of this, and again, that was due to the writer's strike, not of his own volition. But I think it worked out for the better, because again, Lewis Pullman, I think, knocks it out of the park with this.
He does such a good job as Bob, and none of the comedy feels forced. I was in shock seeing him, like, the cargo that they were trying to destroy was a person, and, like, the way they work off each other just feels so natural. Doug?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Definitely a good spotlight on, mental health. Lewis Pullman, he does a great job as Bob, Sentry, Void. And yeah, like the humor, as you said, definitely not forced, feels, a lot like the earlier days with, the original Avengers, the phase 1 and 2 stuff, the genuine sincerity while still, having nice quips and jokes. And I mean, I think no more apparent is that than in, Red Guardian, because it's like, you see, how much, he's desperate to be in the spotlight and everything, but, when push comes to shove, he's going to, show up and, save the day. That is, what he wants to do.
I love him showing up in his like, what is it, Cadillac or whatever, and he's just
limo.
Yeah, his limo driving business, and it's like, this is, how Deadpool and Wolverine had the car scene? That is the car scene of this. Yeah, like that's this car scene where, like, you have it coming out. It seems like an unassuming that they have action scene with the car, but it does a great job of showing who these people are. They're ordinary people who yearn to be more and are bogged down by their own regrets, their own fears, their own past, and they aren't able to be the people
by
that
somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, they aren't able to be the people they want to be, and I feel like this film is what I wanted from the MCU.
Absolutely. It's definitely, as I said, it feels like the tone of, Marvel movies from, at least a decade ago that definitely, it breathes that fresh air that we've been so desperately wanting from the genre, from the MCU. So definitely more of that, please.
So I read another fun fact. You know how Florence Pugh jumps off a building at the beginning? Yeah, she actually jumped off that building. Like, she jumped off the second tallest building in the world. Like, she did that of her own volition. Like, she actually begged Marvel to let her do that because she's an adrenaline junkie. And I find that hilarious.
That's awesome. Like, I love it. Like, there's some things that I love the lines, like, do you feel fulfilled with your life? And it's like, you can tell that they're not happy. And it's like, there's some really great stuff here. For me, like, mental health issues puts it to the top. But, like, even if it wasn't for that, like, there's so many things to love. But we've been gushing about this for a while. We still have 2 more things to talk about. We're definitely splitting this into 2 at this point. Because we're an hour and a half in. So, let's talk about number 4, the 4th one that came out. Lilo and Stitch live action. I have this at number 6.
Well, I too have it at number 6.
Surprisingly, I have it at number 3.
Huh. Now, here's the thing. This is another film that it was kind of like Captain America Brave New World, where there are parts that I really did like. And I went into this, there was so much online hate. I went into this trying to just not have any preconceived notions, just try it out, and it's very middle of the road. It's closing on bad in certain areas, and let's get over some of the hurdles. They did Jumba dirty. Jumba is not Jumba in this. Jumba is... I don't like what they did to Jumba. I don't like that they took out Gantu. And Pleakley is hit or miss for me. So you already have a lot of those problems going against it. But man, there are some really good things. Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride is still amazing. The person who they cast as Lilo is amazing. Stitch looks fantastic. Why couldn't the dwarves have looked this good? Because Stitch looks like he's actually there, and like there's some great stuff, and he's voice acted by the same person. Like, they do a good job of delivering stuff. And the problem is, though, when it's trying to do a recreation of moments from the original that were powerful, aside from Roller Coaster Ride, sometimes it really drops the ball. It does feel a little bit forced. But when it does new things, it's actually really good. And it's like, there are things that I agree with, changes that I like, changes that I didn't like. But I think, for what it's worth, the camaraderie between Lilo and Stitch and Lilo and Nani, and especially, the boyfriend interest, wonderful. Nana Fwa is there, and she has her chancla. She's amazing. Like, there's some really good stuff here. And some people disagree about the ending, but I think it really needed a better casting for Jumba and Pleakley, or something more, because there are some things that I didn't agree with. Kat?
Yeah, I definitely have my issues and my opinions, which I'll share in a moment. I do agree this movie got a very disproportionate amount of hate, and the problem is because, again, of like, these trolls and rage baiters who only saw like a leaked online clip without any of the context, and so they automatically assumed that they changed it for the worst. And then the whole sentiment was repeated again by people who never watched the movie in full. Well, I watched the movie in full, and honestly, most of the changes made sense to me. In fact, I liked a lot of the changes for the most part. I think a lot of them actually made sense in the context of the movie. I'll go about like 3 separate aspects. Jumbo and Pleakley, I agree. They were badly portrayed. I wouldn't say completely miscast. Like, I will say Jumbo himself, yeah, that was a complete miscast. Not just voice-wise, not just acting-wise. Like, Zach Galifianakis basically took this role for a paycheck. Like, he himself has admitted he never saw the original movie. He had no investment in the character. He just said, well, let me just tell me what to do and I'll get into the character. Like, it clearly did not come from him being a fan or him wanting to do his own interpretation. No, this was strictly for a paycheck. And that is why he comes off so bad. On top of the CGI on him just being so awful to look like. Like, I mean, they seriously should have censored his nose. Like, they put that in a kid's movie. That should have had a big censor bar.
Yeah.
And Pleakley,
how is Zach Galifianakis still getting work?
Because he's in other stuff that makes more sense for him to be in.
When you put him in the right role, he can be good. He can be funny. This was not one of those roles. And that's because he originally was supposed to be Pleakley, and they changed his mind and made him Jumbo. And again, he didn't care enough. Again, this was a paycheck to him. And speaking of Pleakley, again, the CGI on him is atrocious to look at. Like, I felt like he had a layer of goo on him that just made him look disgusting to look at. I didn't think his character was that good, because, like, the original Pleakley had sort of a sass to him. Like an air of superiority and stuff. Whereas this Pleakley kind of is just dumb. He's like naive and dumb. And I don't fully blame the actor, because he clearly knew about Pleakley. In fact, he actually tried to get Disney to put Pleakley in drag, because that's one of the things Pleakley is most known for. He is a drag icon, because he's a male alien, but he enjoys wearing, women's clothing. Like, yes, it started off as part of the disguise, but as we see throughout the film, as well as the sequels and the TV series and stuff, he wears it of his own volition because it makes him feel good. So that's what makes him an icon. But Disney was just like, nope, we're not doing that.
There's an entire episode of the series where we meet his extended family, and they're jealous that he's the pretty one.
I know, that was fantastic. And I get why they did away with it, because rather than have the aliens dressing up in just human clothes, and, despite the fact that it's very obvious they're aliens, they go the more smarter route of having them don human disguises. While on the one hand, yes, that actually does make more sense and allows them to blend in better with people, that takes away a lot of the fun of their characters from the original film. So it's like a double-sided blade in that aspect. So, yeah, I definitely was disappointed with their portrayal in this. The second thing with Gantu, I actually wasn't all that torn up over the exclusion of Gantu, because, again, he's kind of like a secondary antagonist that doesn't have any real bearing on the plot until the climax. He's just, like, there to raise the stakes. I know he gets this whole redemptive arc, he gets more characterization in the sequels, in the TV show, but if you look at the movie on its own, he's just not necessary. And plus, look at it from, like, a budgeting aspect, like, they would have had to do a whole giant CGI of this guy and make him fit in among human characters. So logistic point wise, it just didn't make sense. And then for the ending, again, like, I get that was the big point of hatred for a lot of people, that they changed the ending, that, Nani gave up going to college so she could raise Lilo, but it's very clear she's in over her head, and eventually, toward the end, she relinquishes guardianship of her. Again, look at the context of the movie, she kind of had to, because otherwise she would have gotten slapped with probably, like, child endangerment and neglect. And she had no money to take care of Lilo, especially when she almost drowned during the surfing scene. And even then, when she does and ultimately go to college and leaves Lilo in the care of her loving, caring neighbor who they've known for years, they have a portal gun. They can visit each other. It's simple as that. So it's not like we are undoing everything egregiously for no reason. Like, it makes sense in the context of the movie. But again, you have to watch the movie. So that's what I'm saying.
Couple things here. So, one, I really am sad that most of the mosquito joke was taken away from Pleakley. I think that's a large part of his character. You know, the whole reason he was put on this mission was to save the endangered mosquito, and they don't even make Cobra Bubbles the one who brought that up. Like, that was a missed joke opportunity right there.
It was.
My misgivings on Gantu was that they don't have the Samoan joke anymore. Like, oh, I'm Samoan. Oh, now we know. Why are you so big? like that's a great joke.
That is a funny joke, actually. If you ever met a Samoan, yeah, it's actually true.
Yeah, it really is true. And it's just like, there are a couple of things where you're just like, okay, like, it takes the punch out. It could have worked with some of these things. It's toned down, but I think overall those are the two sore spots. I like the ending. And I'm going to say something here that Eliza told me, because, like, a lot of people growing up in America do not like the foster system because of being separated. You know, if you're being put into foster care, you're separated and whatnot, and there's always this aspect. But family is not always the best way to go about it. And for island cultures, family is not just about the people who are blood related to you. Family is community. And it's about the community rising up to help each other that this actually works out. It's like they don't want to, you know, they don't want to separate them apart, but they want to see what's best for the child, and they do a good job. Like, if you look at the original film, Eliza didn't like the ending to the original one because staying with family isn't always the best option. And she didn't like it because of that. And I still love the film, but I can kind of see her point where, like, if you look at it from a non-American perspective, or like, well, she's a Native American, but also, like, if you look at for like an islander or community perspective, or someone from like the ghetto, like, your family are those who are with you, and you work together and you stay together by providing for each other. If one of you has to go to college, you have to go to college to better provide. And I think they did a good job showing how Nani could be a better mother. And she was thrust upon this. It was, nobody really wanted this as something they had to do. And having Nana Fwa be there to help, that's great. And the difference is, in terms of paperwork, having a guardian is actually a little bit easier than sending someone off to foster care, because there's different types of paperwork and different ways of going about it. So, like, yeah, I think this change was good. I also really like that they updated Elvis to the guy who sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, because back in the day, yeah, Elvis was huge in island communities, but that guitar solo, God, why can't I remember his name? I'm gonna look this up. Israel or Brother is the new island icon right now. It used to be Elvis. Elvis took a while to get over there, but it was huge. But Brother is like the biggest name over there, and changing that to Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I think really worked, and it made it more updated and for a modern generation. And I think, in general, Lilo and Stitch live action tries to make these changes to better understand how this would work in the real world. And yes, not everyone is going to get that. Not everybody is going to be like, oh, no, family's the best thing ever. But, like, I've had bad dealings with family. Family is not the be-all, end-all. If you have an abusive family member, and Eliza has definitely told me that, you know, there's some family members she did not want to be around anymore, just staying together is not going to make it better. Doug?
All right, so for the second time in a row, we're having a genuine Disney debate.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like as I said earlier, I put this one high, but considering all the trash that Disney put out this year, and how there's really only two actually good films, it's like this one it surprised me a little bit more than. So yeah, I put this one a little higher. I think probably the fact that it's a modern day, not fairy tale sort of thing, kind of works in its favor for being a remake. That probably helps with some of the other remakes. The fact that there's less of like the CGI characters, and the fact that Jumbo and Pleakley actually in this version take on human form instead of just going as they are. I think that's kind of a good substitute. And, I know obviously the cross-dressing rubs people the wrong way of Pleakley being part of his character, but at least this I think is probably a better trade-off of them actually being incognito with everybody, versus just dressing up. And let's hope that people think that we're don't notice that we're aliens. And with that said, Jumba having the turn to evil honestly makes a lot of sense to me, because he's in the even in the animated series, if the animated franchise, he's shown to be something of a sociopath. So the fact that he never really gets over himself makes more sense to me, because it just a lot of what the animated film, it feels like there's a lot of convenience, like that's kind of why I also agree that it was probably better in the end to have Lilo turned over to the care system of a guardian versus Nani. The fact that they had already established that this neighbor's basically family to them, and that she would do a good job of looking after Lilo. And like you said, Nani's not exactly out of the picture. She can come and go as she pleases, versus, they just happen to get this complete, new family, this lucky circumstance that would afford them to stay together as they are, and that everybody else basically became the extended family. But yeah, like based on the context of the real world, it wouldn't work that way. It definitely feels more real to me how this ended versus how the animated film ends. But going back to Jumba, what you call it, the fact that he's still as committed as he is to being the evil scientist, to not really caring much about humanity, not caring much about Stitch, seeing him more as the experiment than as a living being, makes a lot more sense to me. Like, I get they love David Ogden Stiers' performance in the animated one, and he just is so charming in that, but it didn't work for me that he would be redeemed. So yeah, when he commits to being the villain, I think that works, and especially given that the animated film, the just sheer amount of antagonists that there are in there, I feel like it's definitely a better choice to lose at least one of them, because it was just packed with too many antagonists, and it creates for just too many shenanigans. And I know you want shenanigans, but it gets a little old after a while. It's like, yeah, I honestly think that how things go down in this are better than what the animated film offers. And I think the animated film is still good. I think it definitely has its charm. I think it's still there. All of the sequels and the animated series is still there. So it's, if you didn't like this, fine. You still have the animated series franchise to go back to.
I think the biggest thing for me is if you grew up with Lilo and Stitch and you loved it, you're not fully gonna like this. But if Lilo and Stitch was not for you growing up, this might change your mind. It's a very different one. It just, I don't think it quite works with the absence of a lot of the comedic elements. I have it in that middle of the road category where, like, there are parts that I really don't like, but overall I do enjoy it. It's just not fully great. That's why I have it under Brave New World, because it's just like, there are certain things that I do love. But it's hurt by a lot of stuff. Any other thoughts before we move on to our final film for the evening?
I am disappointed that, as I said earlier, we thought that Snow White was going to kill the live action remake, but then this one got everybody back in, and now it's all good again. It's like Stitch Mania has been revived.
Yep, and now they're doing
I will
more
say,
Mufasa films and all that other stuff.
I think there was somebody on on the internet that pointed this out. It's like how with the original marketing for the animated films versus the marketing for this, it's like they actually. I will say the marketing was probably better for the animated film, because it's like, oh, they take Stitch and they incorporate him into all these other Disney properties, and in a fun way. Whereas like the marketing for this is like showing all the IP that Disney has accumulated since that time, and they're like The 2001 film is, look at all these properties that we can work with. And then in 2025, look at all the IP we've acquired.
All right. I'm going to move on to the final one today. We're going to have to split this into two parts because we're almost at 2 hours already. Now, this next one, we're going to be Disney debating. And partially I put this in this slot because, jokingly, but I still really didn't enjoy this. So let's talk about Frozen the Musical. Now, this came out years before, but it didn't premiere on Disney Plus until after Lilo and Stitch. So that's where we're counting it. And are you ready? Are you ready for the other shoe to drop? This is my number 10. Number 10.
Hot take, I didn't even rank it. It's an honorable mention to me.
Yeah.
I put it at number 8.
Here's the thing. On a purely technical level, the worst parts of Snow White live action are way worse. Like, it has very high highs and very low lows. But I didn't enjoy Frozen the Musical at all. And it's like, this is coming from someone who, Frozen is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's not like super special to me, but it's one of my favorite Disney movies because it's just such a perfect encapsulation of what Disney magic meant and how they can keep going it even past the 2D era with digital CGI. They managed to make it work, and there's so many good things about it. Here, Frozen the Musical is a Broadway musical, and I've seen plenty of Broadway. I've seen plenty of Broadway musicals. I've seen Beauty and the Beast. I've seen a few others. I've seen off-Broadway. I've seen off-Broadway. I've seen off-Broadway. So I have, I've seen college musicals. So I have a little bit of theater background in me. I did not enjoy this for several reasons. One, the acting was atrocious. I am sorry, but I feel like they got the worst child actors I've seen in a long time, who just did not have the right level of emotion. They had a lot of stiffness, and while they were creative with certain things, number two, the singing, it was all pitchy. And it's like, say what you will about Snow White live action. We've said a whole bunch. But 95% of those songs were actually really good, with the exception of Gal Gadot's. But then you come to this, and so much of it, even with the adult cast, is so pitchy and all over the place. And these are some of my favorite songs, and it feels like they're butchering them. And number three, they make this very adult when they don't need to. And here's the thing. I know Broadway. They like to add in adult elements for the grown-ups. It's not just for the kids. I get it. But there's a lot of sex jokes. There's a lot of in-jokes. There's an entire musical number about, the shopkeep in Frozen, the one that had one single scene, and his family in the sauna, and they sing about being nude? Who is this aimed at? This is Disney, and I wouldn't be saying this as much if we didn't have the stupid thing on YouTube with the Elsa clickbait that started the whole purging and separation of YouTube and YouTube Kids. Yeah, Elsa Gate, as they called it. I don't think that should have been the name, because Watergate was the name of the hotel. But, Elsa Gate was the reason why we have YouTube Kids and regular YouTube. Because they wanted to make sure that kids don't see the adult things. And the fact that there's all this adult stuff is just so off-putting. Good things, I will say. Olaf, very well done. Very well handled. They had a lot of creative sets. But overall, I've seen so much better. This disappointed me as a fan of Frozen, as a fan of different material, as a fan of theater. It was just all over the place for me, and it stuck with me more than Snow White, even though Snow White live action is technically the worst. Overall, I disliked Frozen the musical more, and the more I sat on it, the more I'm just like, why am I watching this? What does this add to the film that I couldn't just watch the original thing, or watch Disney on Ice or something? And it's just like, I don't want to be this negative, but this is my number 10. I hate it. God, there's just so much. Doug, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, I was so uninvested in this that I think I was on my phone most of the time watching it. I've seen the occasional Disney Broadway stage adaptation, and it's mixed. Some of them, like Beauty and the Beast, was really good. Little Mermaid was really good. I've heard Lion King's super good, but I've also seen others that I haven't been as thrilled about. Like, they tried to get Hunchback of Notre Dame stage version off the ground, which, They did Aladdin the musical. I did not like Aladdin the musical. I thought it was trash. Absolute trash. And then, this one, it's again, with a lot of the stuff they make, the, sort of the minor tweaks and revisions to it, add in a lot of the songs that are just filler and I don't care about. And then, of course, like you said, they had that whole section with the shopkeeper and the sauna, and everybody's naked for some reason. And the fact that, if you're gonna edit things, the one thing I would have given them an actual ranking if they had eliminated Fixer Upper from it, because God, that thing just needs to be stricken from all Frozen material. It's so bad. But,
yeah.
And then it also adds to the fact that, you've already got Olaf. You've got a comic relief character. So what's with all these other comic relief things in there? It's totally no. Just no. But yeah, like I said, I was just not into it. And the fact that it's a stage adaptation, not even like, full-fledged remake, I didn't even really see fit to rank it with, the films.
Yeah, it's one of those types of films, and like every little thing I keep poking at, I'm sure if you like Frozen as a casual observer, or if you're sick of Frozen, this might entice the kids. I'm not sure it's for me, Kat.
Okay, so I'm about to go on this whole thing, so, come on
Yeah,
my ride
I figured
with
you'd
me
need something. Let's
So
take a
here's the
journey.
thing.
A journey.
So here's my journey with Frozen the Musical. I actually saw Frozen the Musical on Broadway during its original run. It was a birthday present to me and my sister from my dad, and this was just before the pandemic hit. This was like literally the last Broadway show I went to for a good long while. So we went in the city and we saw it. And when I saw it personally, I was dazzled by it. Like, I thought that the effects that they did with the ice, the whole scenery, the special effects, the puppetry, all of that was amazing. Like, the scene where Elsa changes into her signature gown, like, still wows me to this day when I watch that,
I will agree
that
with
particular
that.
scene. Like, from a technical aspect, it's a masterpiece of, like, Broadway theatrics. And I actually even liked, some of the music, too. Like, honestly, I think one of my favorites of the new songs is Monster. And it's this whole sort of internal soliloquy from Elsa that where, again, she is guilt-ridden over the fact that she has frozen her kingdom and she doesn't know how to undo it. And she even goes to a dark train of thought, believing that maybe if she offs herself, it'll save everybody. So, like, that adds the whole adult element they've added to this play. And I agree with you. I did not think it needed adult elements added. Because Frozen, I don't think, is one of those films where it's too cutesy or too childish or something. I think anyone of any age can resonate with Frozen on some level. As long as you look at it as a movie, not just as a kid's product. So I thought that, like, there wasn't anything at the time that I watched that I thought was particularly egregious. I mean, the only thing that I took the most issue with was the rearrangement of the scenes. Like, the big problem is they split it into a 2-act structure, when really Frozen is a 3-act structure. So, and of course they obviously wanted to have Let It Go as the big finale of Act 1, which means they had to switch some other stuff around. Like, the whole thing with going up to her castle, like, some of those scenes are earlier before that number, and others are later. It's like, it's really confusing, and it kind of disrupts the whole pacing of everything. So that I thought was distracting. But other than that, I didn't think anything bad of it. I've seen way worse Broadway shows. I will note, though, because obviously when we were there was family with kids there. And obviously you think they're only there for the kids to watch. The kids only paid attention during the signature songs. They didn't actually watch the play. I saw all these kids around me running up and down aisles, hiding under their seats. Some even were throwing tantrums and stuff from their parents trying to make them pay attention. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, wow. Yeah, like, if this play was meant to draw, a kid audience or whatever, or at least make it more bearable for the parents, I think it kind of fails on both ends.
It's kind of like when we went to see Mufasa, and the kids weren't impressed, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was exactly that. So yeah, this film unfortunately had its run cut short. It was only on Broadway for 3 years, and then the pandemic basically killed it. But I don't think it was just a pandemic, because here's the thing, like, Lion King and Aladdin were going on the same time too. But those came back once Broadway opened again, because, they were big money makers. Like Lion King has been on for, almost 30 years at this point. and they're still going strong. It's likewise, Aladdin's still going strong. Frozen wasn't actually pulling in those numbers, surprisingly. And it had a quicker development time than the first two plays. So I think that's part of why they ultimately Disney chose not to bring it back. And so since then, it's been shown in other countries. In fact, the one that is on Disney Plus, that's the England performance. That's not the Broadway performance. But it's obvious that so that's why you're not getting the full effect. You're not seeing the original Broadway cast. And yeah, I don't think that cast was as good as the one that I saw. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, a lot of them, like, were very similar in their portrayals of the original cast, but there was, like, some lacking, I'll admit. And, like, I thought that, like, Anna and Kristoff's chemistry was basically non-existent. Like, it makes no sense for him to suddenly fall in love with her, or her to fall in love with him. Like, there was just nothing there. Like, there was already the bare minimum in the movie, but there's nothing in the play. And they changed scenes around. They changed one of the songs, which really irked me, because there's a reprise up to when Elsa accidentally strikes Anna in the heart with ice, where it's, the whole For the First Time in Forever reprise. They changed that with a different song called I Can't Lose You. And I just remember being so baffled watching it while we were watching it on streaming. I'm like, where the fuck did this song come from? I don't remember seeing this on stage. Heck, they even have the recording of the reprise from the Broadway thing, like, on YouTube. So I know it exists. I don't understand why they switched it with this song. Especially because it doesn't have that same punch. Because the whole point of the song is to lead up to Elsa's exploding moment where she accidentally lashes out of fear. And the new song kind of almost completely kills that vibe. Like, it takes dialogue afterwards for her to do that. So, yeah, I can see why you guys did not get any enjoyment out of this version of it. I think you might have liked it a bit more if you saw the actual Broadway version, but I can see why this does not resonate with people as much. I can see why there are things about it that are definitely, like, not so much cringe, but, like, not enjoyable to watch. And yeah, the whole scene with the naked people. Like, when I saw it, like, they were, like, in nude suits wearing, like, fig leaves. And I'm like, this is supposed to be for kids, right? Why do we have these naked people? And it's done
Elsa
to, like,
Gate
this
2.0.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was like, I'm just like, that was the one time I think I saw the kids actually paying attention to a new song, because they were probably just so baffled and confused by what the hell was going on stage. But yeah, I mean,
it's so weird.
But but the only reason I put it ahead of, like, Captain America and Snow White is because, again, Captain America I wanted to love, and it disappointed me horribly. And Snow White, I knew it was going to be shit, and it gave me that glimmer of hope, only to dash it exponentially with even more shit. Whereas with Frozen the Musical, it had still retained a lot of the things I liked about the original Broadway airing, but it still wasn't very good. So that's why I ranked it where I did. But that's my piece on all that.
I can understand that. Like, here's the thing. I have a very different feeling from Captain America. And with Snow White, like they say in Futurama, you raise my hopes and dash them spectacularly.
Exactly.
But with this, I was just like, oh, it's just going to be a Broadway version. And I will say, the effect work is great. It's really great effect work, but it just, when they change all these scenes around, and I think it's been a while since I've seen it, but they ruin Love is an Open Door in this. I don't think they make it, they make it very apparent from the song Love is an Open Door that he's the villain. And
yeah, they really did.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that, like, just, they were really leaning into that. Like, no
it's
subtlety
like, you don't,
whatsoever.
Yeah,
like,
the
there's
staging
no
for that,
subtlety.
that song was awful.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like, when you juxtapose my love of, Frozen was one of the few films to start the twist villain. And I don't always think we need a twist villain, but I liked Frozen's twist villain. it's not a twist anymore. And that takes away a lot from it. I feel like that's the whole point. Like, you're supposed to question it. You're supposed to be swept up in it. You're supposed to think he's a villain. And then he isn't until a twist. And that's the whole point. It's like, it's dealing with Disney's tropes. And if you do the trope straight, you're missing the point.
Yeah, and then not to mention, here's the other thing I forgot to mention too. When I saw this film, this was just before Frozen 2 came out, so I think it kind of added to my enjoyment because I thought they were adding original elements to the story, like the fact that their mother was like from like an indigenous tribe and she was the one who knew about the trolls and everything and summoned them, and the fact that you had the trolls who were a lot more downplayed than they are in the movie. Like, I thought it was like a good starting off point. But then I've since seen Frozen 2, and now that I have that context and I watch, this, it kind of leaves not so much a bad taste in my mouth, but like a kind of not so good association, because like I didn't really care for Frozen 2 all that much. There were parts, but when you rewatch it, it's like, yeah, this is kind of bad and it doesn't make sense. So it
they try to redeem the parents, and it's just like,
and the play kind of tries to do that too, but it not to a good effect. They're still clearly the villains in this story by virtue of how they treat their daughters.
Yeah, and I hate to keep interjecting, but one of my biggest problems is that in any subsequent Frozen material, they try to redeem the parents, when it's clear in the first film that the parents were in the wrong. It's a gay allegory. Conceal. Don't feel. Don't let it show. They're toxic. But then they're supposed to be heroes in the second one, and in here, they make them more heroic, and I don't like that.
I will say, they kind of beat that whole message, like, into the ground throughout the whole play, like, more so than the movie, I think. Because it's like, you have Elsa, who keeps saying, don't feel, I'm just gonna hurt people, don't feel, and then Anna, who's like, oh, let me help you, I want to help you, let me come to you, and, like, they're, like, two people bashing their heads against two separate walls constantly. It's like, neither one of them take the hint. It's like, hey, Elsa, you've been, like, doing this no feeling thing for what, like, 10 years now? And it's clearly not working. Why not try something else? Or with Anna, it's like, hey, Anna, she clearly wants nothing to do with you. Why aren't you, like, looking elsewhere? Why do you keep trying to, like, go to her? It's like, it just keeps beating you over the head with it. It's like two people that just can't take the hint. And I get that's the whole point, is that they eventually realize the truth of their bond by the end, and that's what fixes everything. But, like, when you watch it in the play, it just becomes repetitive and even annoying.
As Phil keeps telling me, the definition of insanity is doing the same fucking thing over and over and expecting shit to change. And, I mean, I make the same jokes all the time in some of my Let's Plays and stuff, but this was repetitive.
Very much so. Because, like, it just creates that frustration factor. Because I know ultimately, yes, it's clear the answer to her problem is let her feel, let her love. Then she'll be able to, like, embrace her powers and everything. But it takes so goddamn long to reach that conclusion. And to the play's credit, they try to, portray Elsa's feelings more, and that she does want to connect with her sister. She does want to try to fix things. They even changed that part where she willingly gives herself up to the soldiers to answer for her crimes, instead of, running away like she always does in the movie. So that was a good change, but even then, like, she's still this chaotic element that can't control herself, that is just actively hurting everyone around her, and she keeps trying to use the same ineffective method to stop it, and it keeps getting worse. And it's like, at what point does the back break? And yeah, again, it takes Anna literally being frozen for her to think, oh yeah, I probably should start feeling stuff now so I can actually control this.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Also, like, the fact that, like, the trolls are no help. It's like, you guys are magical beings. Like, you give the vague warning, hey, fear will be your enemy. Okay, cool. We'll avoid fear. What should we do instead? This is... this is like,
Have
come
you tried
on.
Taco Bell? Have you tried Taco Bell?
Have you tried positive affirmations?
Like, this just... It was one of those things where it kept going on, and like in Homestuck, with Elsa falling down the stairs, it just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. Doug.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Do you have anything else to add?
It definitely loses, you know, as Kat was mentioning, it's like the fact that she saw it on the stage and, you know, saw the spectacle of it, and you definitely don't get that translated, you know, to a film version so much. It added nothing for me. I liked, you know, the original Frozen, you know, well enough. I just was like, yeah, I'm pretty much watching the same movie. I am seeing those elements that Kat was talking about that, you know, basically would be carried over into Frozen 2 and them essentially trying to redeem the parents. But yeah, it's like, again, it really did nothing for me. It's another instance of, yeah, like you said, who is this for? It definitely just feels like a rushed cash grab.
Because Frozen was popular,
Yeah.
and they have
like
Olaf cracking sex jokes, and like maybe not everyone will get that, but like he makes some raunchy jokes, and I'm like, I like him in Frozen 2 more, where he's existential, not here. Okay. We have been going over 2 hours now, and we're only halfway done. So thank you for sticking around for this long, but this has been a year, and we're not even halfway there. With that being said, I am Zenith Warrior Princess, the cutest of buns.
I'm Kat McBerry.
I'm Doug McBerry.
And we'll see you for part 2 of the top 10 films of 2025, and talking about more good things, because a lot of these things we've had a lot to say about, and we do have some more good things to talk about. We also have more bad. It's a roller coaster of a year where there's a lot of half good, half bad, half middle. It's been weird. In any case, we'll see you
a Hawaiian
next time.
roller coaster ride?
A Hawaiian roller coaster bun. And we'll see you for the second half when we talk about Elio, Fantastic Four First Steps, Freakier Friday, Tron Ares, and Zootopia 2. Have a good one, everyone, and just remember, don't make Elsa Gate 2 Electric Boogaloo. We didn't like the first one.